Hey everybody, this is Ben Rowell from Highway 3 Angler. There we go. Sorry about that. This is Ben Rowell from Highway 3 Angler, and I want to welcome everybody to Fly Tying After Dark, coming to you from Wasilla, Alaska, February 22nd. Thanks for joining me. Tonight, during Fly Tying After Dark, we're going to tie the Freckled Gold Salmon fry and a Pine Squirrel Leech. Both are effective patterns to catch Alaska's trout, and they're pretty simple to tie. During tonight's live stream, if there's any issues with the sound or the lighting, please let me know in the comments. This is just the second time doing a live stream, so if there's any issues, I'd appreciate it if you let me know there in the comments. Also, if there's any questions during the live stream, go ahead and put them down there in the comment section. And then you'll notice in the comments there's a pinned comment that's from me, and it says, "Who convinced you to take up fly fishing?" So I'm interested to hear how you got started and who got you into it, and I'll let you know who got me started after we tie this first fly. So we'll get started. There we go. So the first fly we're tying tonight is the Freckled Gold Salmon fry. This pattern would be good to fish in the spring with the fry out migration at the where rivers typically confluence with either another river or a lake, and the same if you're at the headwaters of a lake, you could fish right there where the creek or river starts. Also, if you're fishing in an estuary, this would be a good pattern to fish there. I'm going to start off with a Gamakatsu SC15 size 2. And the thread is a Vise olive A-dot. I forgot to mention, if you're looking for the recipes for these flies, go over to highway3angler.com and go to the Fly Tying After Dark tab, and you'll see the recipes listed there. So to start, I'm going to start maybe an 1/8 of an inch or so behind the eye. I'm going to build this bump here with the thread, and that's going to help set my eyes. Next I have just some medium bead chain eyes. Do 3 wraps one way, 3 wraps the other, and you can see what I did here is I butted it up against that thread dam, or that thread bump right there, and then do about 10 wraps one way and 10 back the other. And then we do about 10 around, and that should lock them in place. I'm just going to go down the hook shank maybe another 1/4 inch or so. Okay, next we're going to use some fish hair in olive. And this stuff is a synthetic material and it's very thin. So we're going to cut off about 20 to 25 strands. We're going to tie it in just behind the eyes here. We want the tail to be the same length as about the length of the hook. So there's one hook shake length, and then have it come up here, and I'm just going to tie it off right behind the eyes. 3 wraps. Trim. Well, Richard Johnson has joined us. Thanks for joining, Richard. Just going to secure that with some wraps up towards the front of the hook or back towards the eyes. Come down a little bit. The next material we're going to tie in is Senyo's Freckled Predator Wrap in UV Freckled Gold. Now this stuff comes tied or secured to a string, and there's some UV strands and some of the gold and black strands. We're going to cut off I'm going to cut off 2 of the UV strands and 2 of the freckled gold strands. I'm going to tie in the freckled gold 2 strands, and tie in 2 strands, not directly on top, but kind of off-centered towards me, just a little bit. And then I'm going to come back down on the other side with the other half here. I'm going to take my 2 strands of the UV material and tie them in the same spots. First kind of on the top, but on my side, and then I'm going to come over back on the side away from me and tie it in. And then come down the shank just a little bit, and then back up. I'm going to trim the predator wrap the same length as the fish hair. And then come up and kind of build up a head behind these eyes, and then move it to the front. Do a few wraps of thread and tie it off. 2, 3 wrap whip finishes. And then I'm just going to put a tiny bit of head cement. This comes out fast, so when I say tiny bit, it may be a whole lot. There I go. Hey Matthew, thanks for tuning in. The green material is fish hair in olive. It's a synthetic material. I guess it could be similar to bucktail, but it's synthetic. And that's it. The freckled gold salmon fry. Pretty easy. You can tie a bunch of these up pretty fast. If you tuned in late or want to watch this at another time, this video is going to be archived over on the Highway 3 Angler YouTube page and the Highway 3 Angler Facebook page. All right, any other questions here? Okay, so the question of the night is, who convinced you to take up fly fishing? For me, I had fished when I was a kid, and I fished when I was a late teenager, growing up in Western New York. But it wasn't until I came to Alaska for college where I got my first fly rod. But that was just to go to the Kenai River, Russian River confluence and flip for red salmon. I don't even think I did an overhead cast. It wasn't until at the time my soon-to-be brother-in-law invited me down to to Deep Creek and Anchor River to fish for steelhead. And that's when I finally started casting a fly rod. And he led me on my way down this path of fly fishing. That's led to me becoming a guide here in the Matsu Valley, in the Susitna Valley. So I still fish with him a lot. Probably one of the best fishermen I know. All right, the next fly we're going to tie is a pine squirrel leech. I can tell you when the fish just fly, but let's just say it's always leech season. So what I mean by that is you could fish this from the time the ice goes out until it comes back in the fall, and you probably catch a lot of fish. So we're going to start with the Umpqua U103 nymph/streamer hook. It's also 1X wire 2XL. So we're going to put a tungsten bead on there. Before we do that. So again, we have the Umpqua 103 hook in size 6 and a countersunk tungsten bead in black. I'm going to put down some lead wire, size .025. About 15 wraps. tuck that up against the back of the bead. Let's secure a thread. This is a Vise A-dot thread in black. Secure this these thread wraps here. Bring the thread back to just above the barb. Up next is pine squirrel Zonker in black. Just need about a 5-inch piece. So for this streamer, we're going to do a tail 2 times the length of the shank. I'm not talking about the hide is not where I'm measuring the tip of the fibers. So there's about 1, there's 2, so I'm going to tie it in right here. You want to separate the fibers to get down to the hide. You can do 3 wraps. So pull that tight and then bring the thread forward. I'm going to tie it in again. Right behind our lead wraps. Bring the thread all the way forward. I'm going to wrap the pine squirrel away from me, stroking the fibers back so they don't catch on themselves. And get them flowing in the direction we want. Have to wet your fingertips a little bit. That's okay. Get control of the fibers. About 3.5 wraps. I'll whip finish that. Just 2, 3 wrap whip finishes. Just a little bit of head cement on those wraps, thread wraps. And there you have it. Pine Squirrel Leech. This one will have a lot of movement. You can definitely fish this in the creeks, and if you can fish it in still water. If I was going to fish it in still water, I probably wouldn't do as much weight. But but you can definitely tie this without any of the lead wraps or tungsten bead. Maybe we'll do that on a later episode. So, pine squirrel leech in black. Overall length is just about 2 3/4 inches. All right, let's see, any other comments? All right, no more comments. Let's see, Rich Johnson for the question of the night, which was, who convinced you to take up fishing? Rich says, natural evolution in my early teens from growing up bait and spin fishing. Easy transition from ultralight spinning. Old enough that we fished wet flies behind Colorado spinner blades. Very nice, Rich. Okay, I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. This video will be archived on the Highway 3 Angler YouTube page and on Highway 3 Angler Facebook page. Again, we tied the Freckled Gold salmon fry and the pine squirrel leech, and you can get the material list at Highway 3 Angler. Click on the highway3angler.com and click on the Fly Tying After Dark tab. All right, thanks again for joining me. Like the Facebook page and you'll get notification for what day and time we schedule the Fly Tying After Dark next week. All right, have a good night.